First, though, after 2 years of negotiations, last night Theresa May's Brexit deal was voted down by MPs in the biggest government defeat in history. Nick Ferrari will be telling us what might happen next, although he's just said to us, as indeed everybody's saying, not a clue. He's going to talk to us in just a moment, but has the time come to panic?
Well, mum of three, Nevine Mann, certainly thinks so. Despite being advised not to, she has been Brexit-proofing her home by installing solar panels, emergency water tanks and even stockpiling food and medicine.
Well, she joins us now live from her home in Cornwall. So good morning, Nevine.
Hi, Nevine.
It's lovely to see you. So explain how you are Brexit-proofing your life and what are you stockpiling?
Hi there. Well, we've basically been buying extra bits of what we would normally buy predominantly, just to make sure that if there are any problems with supplies in the event of a no deal, that we have food for ourselves and our family. Just a little bit extra on each shopping, mainly.
You bought of what? So we can see that you've got a pasta, you've got tins. How much extra? I mean, how many of you have you stockpiled?
We've got enough for about 4 to 6 months, if that was all we were eating. Obviously, we haven't got fresh things because they don't keep. But we've got lots of tins of vegetables, beans, tinned meat, pasta, rice, porridge oats.
And it doesn't just stop at food, does it? Because you can be self-sufficient in other ways also. I mean, solar panels, we just discussed there. You've got your own vegetable plots. You've got a water filter system. So do you genuinely believe that all of this is called for, that you are going to need this?
Well, the solar panels we were going to put on the house anyway, so we just brought that forward and made sure they were on before the leave date. At the moment, they are not completed, so we're waiting for a device that allows us to use them off-grid, which we can't do at the moment. So if there's a power cut, our solar panels are actually useless and we have no power just like everybody else. The water tank was already installed when we moved into the house, so we just made sure we had a filter to make that drinkable safely. And the veggie patches were, again, already in the garden, and rather than take them up, which is what we originally were going to do, we decided to keep them and make use of them by growing things.
I remember...
we've not really done before. And
in 1999, Richard Madeley on this show, and he got into a lot of trouble because he was saying that he got, because of the Y2K bug, it was expected that computers around the world would crash, the world would fall to its knees, and he actually had a millennium cupboard, and he said that he got food, he got candles, he got all that sort of stuff. He encouraged people to do exactly the same and got into a lot of trouble because of it. And then it turned out, of course, we went through 1999 into 2000 and absolutely nothing happened whatsoever, and he's left with his millennium cupboard, and I assume he's still eating the beans. So you could end up stuck with all of this stuff. You were told expressly, everybody said, please don't stockpile, and you were told expressly not to do that.
Maybe so, but I have a family, I have children, and it concerns me the real implications of a no-deal Brexit that will result in food being held up at the border, and delays at food coming in, and I'd rather just make sure that we've got what we need to live.
What about...
And it's predominantly stuff that we would normally buy anyway. There's very few items that we wouldn't normally buy.
What about medicines? Are you stockpiling medicines?
Well, we've got a little bit extra. So we've got paracetamol and ibuprofen, and I've got a little tiny bit extra of the prescription medicines. But again, I haven't got an awful lot of those because it's not that easy to stockpile prescription meds. But they're life-changing. Without the prescription medications, life will change. It's not necessarily life-threatening for myself or my son, who are the main users, but it's life-changing. My son can't go out the house for 6 months of the year if he doesn't get his prescription-only antihistamines because of his severe grass allergy.
Well, hopefully it won't come to any of that. Of course, you've stuck your head above the parapet now. Everybody knows that what you look like and where you are. I mean, come the world on its knees, everyone knows where to go for beans. Thanks, Nevine.
Thank you, Nevine. So, Nick Ferrari, I mean, is she right to be worried, or is this just sort of craziness?
I'm still chuckling at Richard made the idea that Judy says, what's for lunch? It's beans on toast. Not again, because he's going to get...
19 years later.
Yes, that's right. Look, Nevine is at the far end of concerns. Should people necessarily be stockpiling? I would say no. If you turn to medicine, and I understand that for her son, that is important.
Yeah.
I've spoken with the chief executive of the British Pharmaceutical Association on my show. There are all necessary... The minute you say stockpiles, it frightens people. There is plenty of provision. There's enough provision to get the country through, and these are just necessary preparations that should be made. The other way of looking at it, Holly, is it would be grossly irresponsible for the pharmaceutical industry not to have some kind of supply ready. So they're only doing what is responsible. Do I think it'll come to that? No, I don't. But as you rightly said, anyone who suggests they know where we're going next is probably deluded, because it's so... We are in totally uncharted waters, as you said right at the top. An historic, an unprecedented defeat for the Prime Minister.
So I guess we just need to look at our options then. So what could possibly happen if we were to guess?
There are 4 key options. Your viewers now must focus obviously on today's no confidence vote, which she will win. I'm telling you now, she will be Prime Minister this time. Then everybody looks to Monday, because that's when she has to return and present what is Plan B. She's given just 3 days. She thought she had 21. That's been brought down to 3.
And she says she hasn't got a Plan B.
She hasn't got a Plan B. Now, a Plan B has to, in some way, involve Brussels. We've already heard from the chief negotiator in Brussels this morning saying that he profoundly regrets the British decision and making it plain there is no more wriggle room. There's nothing more they can give. So the idea they're going to get more from Brussels is very difficult to see how they do that. So where does that lead you? That leads you to no deal, which speaks to what we've just seen with the young lady in Cornwall. It speaks to doing it again, the idea of a people's referendum, which has growing support, but is very difficult to see a political party sign up to it, because it will just heap more chaos on chaos, I understand why particularly young people want to vote. I absolutely get it. But, dear Lord, hasn't the first one been divisive enough? Do we really need another one? And do you think it would solve all the problems? So you move to the other one, which is possibly some kind of delay. Now, we're factored in, and by Act of Parliament, we Brexit on the 29th of March. It would take another Act of Parliament or some kind of amendment to delay that, and that is where you might start to look. But just a wrinkle there, without giving too much fact to the viewers, the problem is we have Euro elections scheduled for May. Now, are we really going to go through electing MEPs who might only be there for a couple of years? That is the next part of the timetable you look to.
What do your listeners say when they call in to your show? Because we are all passengers on this bus. You look at Parliament and think, well, you know, people could rightly say, what a bunch of clowns. You know, you've had time to do this. Sort yourselves out. It's divisive. It's political.
You're right.
It'll never be sorted. They'll never sort themselves out. What do your listeners say?
I don't want to misrepresent them. So the Leavers are furious. A lot of the Leavers are hard Leavers. I don't like to say crash out, because that seems to load the equation, but they say, just do a no deal, we'll be all right, we've been all right in the past, we can carry on trading. I think that's quite extreme. So the Leavers are furious. The Remainers are furious that the politicians have played themselves into this kind of situation where the arguments have not been heard, and they say that, in a way, they have not delivered either, and that they've allowed the country to be stymied in this fashion.
The one thing I would say, looking at Theresa May there, she is not a quitter, is she? I mean, what she's been through, 2.5 years of working on something that's gone to nothing.
And remember, and she makes no secret, although she doesn't play it up, but she suffers from diabetes, which is quite a debilitating condition. She has extraordinary levels of stress.
It is very possible to continue with a normal life.
Yes, it is. It is. But this is certainly taking her toll, and credit to the woman the way she's worked. Some people would say, though, that the incredible stoicism and, in a way, one direction is not necessarily her strength. That's possibly why she found herself going down so hugely, because she hadn't taken soundings from those around her who could have said, Mrs May, you're heading for a fall, and a big one last night.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Nick. It's always a pleasure to
have you.
I'm sure we'll be seeing you again.
I hope so. Always available.
Yes,
This is going to be
we'll be
resolved
discussing
quickly.
I'll bring the beans.